it more of a rapid fire kind of a thing, like rather than more
Okay,
explanatory. Like just
cool.
keep loan sell तीनों जन एक select करेंगे and we just in like one short sentence we can say why.
Let let's keep it flexible. Okay, fine. Cool.
Hadu has a lot of opinion coming out.
I'm happy about it. So what
Mr.
what shall
Intense.
we start with? Shall we start with the keep loan sell of Arsenal? I think that works best.
No, this one is for the transfer news update.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Hey guys, welcome to our live session on the updated transfers for the last couple of weeks. Sorry we couldn't be there for the last week, but we have more to share now. So I think that's a good thing. And I'll begin on a Chelsea front because we've just recently signed a player. So Chelsea have officially signed João Pedro from Brighton. 55 million fixed fee plus 5 million in add-ons. 8-year contract, and he comes in as an auxiliary player, someone who can play as a backup to a Palmer, as a forward, and as well as a left winger. A lot of like I think over the last 3 4 days since the news broke, have been watching a lot of you know uh, player videos, blogs, comments from Brighton fans, comments from Watford fans. So excited for this, but let's see. Our track record from Brighton has been 67% hit right now. So let's see how this shapes up.
Which one is not a hit?
Any guesses? Okay, so let me start off with the transfer oracle, Mr. Romano. Uh, okay, let's see in terms of the
Before that,
interesting
Yuvi,
ones
how would
because
you rate that transfer? How would you rate the Jao Pedro transfer?
so I would say in terms of the club strategy, in terms of the wages, and in terms of how he fits into Chelsea, I think I would rate it a 7 out of 10 immediately. And I'll tell you the reasons why as well, because if I look at João Pedro purely as a name, very underwhelming for 60 million, right? Like I think when you can have someone like a Rodrigo for 80 million or someone like an Eze for 67 million, I think it's very underwhelming from a name perspective. But again, so just because of going into a little bit of depth, so he ranks among the top 3 percentiles across English football for progressive carries, progressive passes, and that is a position and interceptions, by the way, for a forward player. So because of that, the role which Maresca can utilize him in this Chelsea team is very crucial because last year we saw that when Palmer gets injured or Palmer doesn't, let's say he's not in the best of form, then suddenly the entire Chelsea team kind of fall away. So I think João Pedro adds that perfect option as a replacement for Palmer. And Nkunku and Felix, unfortunately, although they are brilliant players in their own right, like Nkunku, I think he can be a great fit for Arsenal or a United. And Felix, I think he is a maverick when it comes to doing some, technical ability kind of a thing. But they just didn't have the kind of drive and the kind of running ability and the kind of pressing ability that João Pedro has. So I think he will improve the team. He will help us in multiple positions, and he is someone who can help Maresca tactically. Also, his age profile is good, 23 years old. Wages are supposed to be amazing because he was on 50K at Brighton, and I'm assuming he'll be coming for 100 to 120K at Chelsea. So fits into the wage structure. Has fellow Brazilians Estevao, Andre Santos along with him. Has Argentinian, Ecuadorian players along with him. So I think makes sense for me. I think although overpriced, if this was at 35 million, I think it would have been a great buy. At 60 million, I think good buy.
How would you rate the transfer for João Pedro?
From Brighton's perspective,
No, from the player's perspective.
brilliant because he has just played 3 games for Brazil over the last 4 seasons. It's a World Cup year. Ancelotti is known for giving, let's say, young players a chance. He started with Estevao in the first game that he was a part of. He started with Andre Santos in the second game. And knowing his connection with Chelsea, I do feel there's a soft corner which national team managers have with clubs. So, for instance, let's say Tuchel coming in gave Trevor Chalobah his first England start. It gives Levi Colwill a better chance as well. So, I think from that perspective, being at a bigger club, having a dynamic role to play, playing in the Champions League against better opposition, which he would not have done at Brighton, gives the player a fighting chance for the national team.
But
Plus, an
how much
8-year
will he
contract
actually
of
play?
100K.
Because he's competing.
He will play quite a bit. Trust me, he will play quite a bit because Chelsea don't have a left winger right now. And even if Chelsea signed Gittins, I feel it will either be Gittins or Pedro rotating. So let's say, so that's where I'm coming from, right? Pedro, if fully fit and in form, can actually replace a Sancho, a Palmer, and a Delap in their positions respectively. He may not be the best at any of those, but he is, let's say, a 80 to 90% fit of where those guys are. So he will definitely get 20, 30 minutes every game, even if he doesn't start.
I don't know. I
uh,
feel that from a player perspective, it's not a very good transfer. He was starting a lot of games at Brighton and playing his preferred position, which was I off the center forward. Also playing as center forward sometimes. So going from that to sort of playing 20, 30 minutes every game and then every other game here and there, I don't
I think
think it
he could have
improves
spent.
my chances.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Manan. I mean, I think he could
Yeah.
have spent another year at Brighton, gotten some more experience under him, kind of build that kind of a level, and then kind of looked at the transfer next year. I
Yeah.
get the whole World Cup point of view, but I feel just from a player's perspective, also like locking himself in for 100K, I think the ceiling was a slightly higher than that. So I don't know. Let's see. Um,
A couple
Also,
of
like I don't know,
inputs.
like a lot of I feel that also like Chelsea can become a graveyard for all of these middling players, where players are not that great and players are not that bad, and you're stuck being a sub for like a year or year and a half or 2 years, and suddenly they'll of course buy someone else again, right? So then you are like nowhere, basically. Like something that has happened to Nkuku or might happen to Neto or Maduake or like any one of these players, right? These are kind of middling players, and इसको replace करने के लिए Chelsea will always kind of buy another player if you are not kind of that good,
Keep upgrading.
and
Yes, yes, yes.
you always won't get a chance to prove yourself because you're not the regular starter. So that's where it's like a catch-22 situation for all the players, I feel, at Chelsea. But let's see. Like, I mean, probably he can prove himself in the few stars that he gets and kind of makes that impact for Chelsea.
So a
Let's
few
see.
things about this signing and very like disturbing ones as well. So João Pedro's father was a former footballer in Brazil. He was convicted as an accomplice to murder when João was 4 years old, and he was imprisoned for 18 years, which led his mom to uh, separate from his father, of course, and then move out of their native place, which was there, and then move to a different part of the country. Uh, Zhao, actually, what Manan said, I'll refute that. He started his career as a number six. He moved to a number eight. He moved to a number 10, played at the wing for Watford, and played forward for Brighton. So he has actually got positional awareness for five different positions. And if we look at Premier League specifically, for Watford, he played on the left wing. And for Brighton, he played as a forward as well as a number 10. So from that perspective, if he remains fully fit and if he can adapt to Maresca's tactics, I really think he can add more value than, like I said, if we remove the name João Pedro right now, and if we give him 2 years to see how he actually shapes up, this can be a really good value add. Neto, for example, again has become an integral part of Chelsea. Uh, Madueke, I don't think is there, and that's why I think Arsenal are linked to him now, and he may end up going to Arsenal or maybe another club in the future,
मत बोल यार
which
ऐसा.
is we've already given you Kepa का benefit. अभी Madueke भी आ रहा है, and another interesting insight for João Pedro. So, uh, in terms of his, so there was an article linking Firmino to João Pedro. So he is the closest to Roberto Firmino over the last 5 years, emerging in that position. So that is a very interesting take on how he plays the game. So like I said, when the news broke, I was like, yeah, very underwhelming signing. Why we are spending 60 million on a very average Brighton player again? Then saw a lot of videos, read up a lot about him from various sources, saw a bit of his gameplay. So I feel key price wise, I'm ignoring it. Like the price is what it is. I can't change the price. But purely of how he fits into the system, he is extremely crucial. And one very important part, which I think will make you guys smile, which Premier League player got the maximum yellows last season?
I don't know. Declan Rice.
Manan, you're on mute.
Was it him?
No. Guess.
I
It'll be super funny.
don't know.
Bruno.
Uh,
Liam Delap got 12 yellows last season. Nicholas Jackson got 11 yellows last season. João Pedro got 10. So we have literally built the most ill-disciplined forward line that there could exist in the Chelsea makeup right now. Anyways, enough about this transfer. I think it's fun and it's a very interesting context. But let's go to the next one. A very exciting signing for Atletico Madrid. Alex Baena joins Atletico from Villarreal, 45 million euros plus 5 million add-ons. For those who have not followed Spanish football most closely, Baena is responsible for the most number of chance creations from teams outside the top three in Spain over the last 2 seasons. And extremely gifted midfielder. I think he can help unlock a lot of defenses. So I think this is a great signing. Manan, you follow Spanish football quite closely. Any comments on this?
So I haven't followed him or Villarreal closely, but if he is a chance creator, how you say he is, then it is very imperative that the manager at Atletico gives him the freedom to do that. Because sometimes the system at Atletico de Madrid, it constrains creative players. Although Koke has flourished there, right? So uh, it is not one size fits all, but uh, with him and a Gallagher or a bunch of the other very good midfield options that Atletico de Madrid have, and a forward line of Griezmann and Julian Alvarez and Sorloth, they could really compete very well in the La Liga next season. And I feel last summer was also very good for Atletico, and it seems that they are doing well this season as well. So maybe like there is a shift in the policy that uh, they've always spent big. It's not like they've never spent big since Simeone has come. They have, but they are going more for like Spanish recruits who are established in the La Liga, and that I think that shift should help them.
Varun, any comments on Baena?
no, I think a great signing for them. Overall, I feel the price tag is not too high as well. Kind of a very Atletico Madrid kind of signing in terms of the value that they try to get from each signing that they do, right? So great. I think again adds a lot of creativity, and I think if you saw last season, right, like till the halfway mark in La Liga, all the top three teams were very close. Correct. It's all about how you can sustain that over the closing ends or closing stages of the league, right? And from that perspective, if you have spot depth and you get these quality players, they can actually help you a lot. So from that perspective, I think a very good signing.
Next up is Arsenal. Christian Mosquera's plan remains clear. He wants to join Arsenal project despite new contract proposal from Valencia. Full focus on negotiations with Arsenal. New bid expected after the opening 14 million euro bid got rejected.
Yeah, so I think we offered them 14 million and they are expecting somewhere around 28 million or something like that. I think it should end somewhere in the middle. I think 20 to 22 million should be like a reasonable this thing, given that he's in the last year of his contract, if I'm correct. I think the player actually is really well regarded in few of the uh, like in the La Liga circle. Kind of went through a couple of podcasts which spoke about him, and majority of the people who have insight into La Liga football and Valencia, they actually rate him very highly, and they kind of are thinking that Arsenal is getting like a bargain deal over here for him. uh, I feel like given the also like I feel that we are quite well stacked in that position, but yeah, if you want to build like a, as I said, like you always need backup players in place because like we were discussing few months back, right? Madrid can come anytime and like take Saliba away or like turn anyone's head, right? So you always need that chain of players who are there in the artillery, right? So yeah, I think from that perspective, it should be a good signing. Although I would want Arsenal to now focus on like a striker and a left winger and kind of move away from all these other this thing, players once this is done.
I feel it's one player too many in that position. The team has a lot of options in that position.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I
Manan, you're
wouldn't
on
deny
mute.
that.
Yeah, I was just saying that I feel the it's one player too many for that position. The team has a lot of players on the centre back position, and I mean money could be utilized better somewhere else for Arsenal.
I think they're getting him on a. I think they feel that they are getting him on a bargain, and this is the right time. Sometimes you have to make like an opportunistic deal as well, kind of dip into your reserves and do that, because I feel that suppose if Saliba leaves next year, right, and then when we are going to search for a defender, everyone knows that we need a defender then. Now that's going to raise the asking price of all the clubs to like 40 million, 50 million, and then you are stuck if you don't find someone good. So if you are getting someone which you really rate highly and at a cut price, then I think sometimes even if you are kind of well stocked in that position, you can add one more good player, given that you really rate him highly. So I think from that perspective, I don't think it's a bad deal.
Succession planning is very important in positions here. Like, be
Yeah,
prepared, and if you
yeah,
have options, then you can dictate the market. Right? Let's say Saliba के
correct.
लिए Madrid comes in for 70 million next year. They can say कि यार it's 100 million or no go,
Yeah,
and it'll open up more options.
correct, correct.
Manan, you're on mute again, buddy.
But they already have White and they have Timber and they have Calafiori who are
So
options for the
White,
centre back
so
position.
White and Timber are now mainly being used as a fullback. What they have is Kivior and Calafiori, but both of them are left-footed and kind of will play in the Gabriel kind of a role, not in the Saliba kind of a role. Ben White can come in place of Saliba, but again, he's utilized more as a fullback now under Arteta's setup. So, yeah.
One very interesting news coming out of Saudi is Saudi Pro League side Neom signed Marcin Bulka as their goalkeeper. on a deal valid till 2029. The interesting thing about this is that NEOM is the trillion-dollar city which they're creating in Saudi Arabia, and they're expected to kind of really invest in their football team as well. And Bulka was a player for Nice. He was an ex-Chelsea youth as well when his early days in Cobham, and he is actually very highly regarded. And there's a good possibility that five or six other top European players go to NEOM. And the reason why this is even more interesting is that Al Hilal beat Manchester City, a full strength Manchester City, in the Club World Cup in the knockouts. And I actually saw the game, and it wasn't a fluke. Like Inzaghi set up the team really well, organized the defense, and they scored some really good goals. They played really well. They even got a draw against Madrid before that in the group phase. So the level of Saudi Arabian league is increasing massively, partly due to European players and now due to elite European coaches. So you've got Inzaghi now. Al Nassr have signed Jorge Jesus from मतलब, earlier Benfica. Now he has gone back to Brazil, so वहाँ से आया है. So I think it's a great sign for the Saudi league, and it can actually maybe be something which is interesting going forward. In terms of other interesting news, Eberechi Eze has opened doors to Arsenal move in a very clear way. He's open to joining Arsenal project. Arsenal are informed on the release clause and will take action soon. So, very interestingly, Eze actually was a youth player for Arsenal. He got released by Arsenal, went to multiple clubs, Fulham, Reading, Millwall, got released again, made his name at QPR, went to Palace, and in an interview during his struggles, he had revealed how much Arsenal actually meant to him. So it'll be a great romantic story if he's actually able to make that step back to Arsenal. And like personally, I really like the player. 27 years old, just turned 27 on 29 June, and he is someone who has that little bit of magic in him. So I think he can help unlock low blocks. And very interestingly, he has scored 10 plus goals from midfield in the last three Premier League seasons, which not many Premier League players can say.
You really rate him?
In terms of someone who can open up doors, yes. Like, let's say you can't put him over a Saka, of course. You can't put him over uh, someone like a Palmer. But let's say in a close game wherein it's nil-nil or 1-1, he can come in and he can score a magical goal. He scored that against Chelsea last season. He scored that against many other clubs last season. So he is someone who can score from outside the box. He is someone who's very good at creating opportunities for the forwards. So
I mean,
I think he can be a
27
good
year
replacement.
old. I mean, 27-year-old substitute for 60 plus million. I think it's a waste. I don't know.
He's not going to be a substitute. Now he'll start on the left wing.
Martinelli, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel that would want Arsenal to go for a slightly better player as a starter, as a starting option. I don't know,
He's
probably
really
like
good, yeah, Varun. Like right now for the English national team, he's the best left winger option that they have.
Him and
really you
Gordon.
think he's a good option?
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel that somehow, like our standards of players that we rate has gone down so much. Like
नहीं
I
नहीं वरुण
compare
सर
him to like the
that
some classic wingers that we used to have. Like you have like grown up following the likes of Perez and all of these people, and then here comes like Eze, and everyone is going gaga over him. Where I don't know, like like I was looking at Eze's highlight reel for 2025 this last season. I mean, that seemed more of a highlight reel for Mateta, man. I mean, all his assists were like with touches and Mateta scoring screamers like that. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, again, I think like an average player which is touted to be really good. I don't know whether
I think
he's worth
recency
60.
bias, two things.
Six.
Recency bias. He scored 7 goals in his last 8 games. And he is someone, if I look at it, see, if you compare it to a Perez, now again, you have to look at where Perez came from, how highly regarded Perez was when he joined Arsenal, and the amount of time he spent at Arsenal, how good he became, along with the French guys. Now, similarly, if you look at the Henry story, Henry was actually played as a wing back at Juventus before he joined Arsenal. So, if let's say, for instance, if you look at a Saka in 8, 10 years will be like an Arsenal legend, right? Because of the kind of time that he is being given. Whereas he comes in to fix a particular problem. Martinelli on the left wing hasn't been able to give you consistent output in terms of goals and assists. And this guy can help do that from outside the box, and he can help finish chances very well. If you've seen the highlight reels of last year, you would have seen at least 2 or 3 goals outside the box, which were really good. Like out of nowhere, he just like I know the Chelsea game because I saw it live. So out of nowhere, he just took on 2 players, dodged them, and just scored a very beautiful finish. So, and the other thing is, I think it's not about maybe, of course, the fact that we watch the English Premier League a lot more, and maybe because of the fact that we are following the slightly mid-table clubs a lot more. Like at least I have a little bit of bias towards players like Mbuemo, Cunha, Eze, Pedro, because you see them becoming superstars of the future, right? Or you not superstars, but a level below that. But the good fact is that they are coming in at decent wages. Like a Eze won't be asking for 250K like a Rodrigo. He will come in for a 120, 150K, which can help a team overall.
But मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ ना, our definition of superstars has become too broad. हम लोग किसी को भी आजकल सुपरस्टार बनाते हैं और किसी को भी आजकल अच्छा प्लेयर बना देते हैं. That's the problem.
But
I think that whole standard of judging players has dropped so much that an average player also these days looks like, Arey, wow, it's a great player. You know, I really feel that way, right? Like,
So
I
do you
need
think
kind of
like
compare
Varun?
him to actually good players like
uh,
Robben or something like that, and then I see, okay, fine,
those were
Chelsea as a
crazy. So
whole.
if you look at those brackets, right, like a Robin and a Perez in this generation would be a Musiala kind of.
So, but I think that's what Arsenal needs to actually win this league. I think that's what Arsenal actually needs to win this league. And if you
Can they
want a
get a
starter,
Musiala?
I think that's
Is
the kind
also
of
a question.
players that we need. So I would rather say focus your energy on someone like Rodrigo, get a really, really good player. Forget about all of these Maduaki and like average players. Like I feel Eze is a decent player. I feel he's a nice, good, proper 6 on 10 kind of a player. But I don't think he's a player who's going to win you the league. So stop middling around and wasting your time on these average itsy bitsy players and actually go for the kill and find someone who's going to take you to the next step. That's what
I
I
think
feel like.
Yeah, Rodrigo is the only one who is available. Musiala won't come for sure. He's just got the
Yeah,
number
yeah,
10 at Bayern. Wirtz has gone to
yeah.
Liverpool. He was available. Then
Correct.
Nico Williams wants to go to Barca. He would have been a ideal signing. Rafael
Correct.
Leao could be an option, but again, I
He's
don't
too
see him.
inconsistent.
Yeah, I don't see him at that
Too
level at this
inconsistent.
moment in
Yeah, yeah.
time. Yeah. So options में Rodrigo is possibly the only one left. और कोई option नहीं है, then this becomes the best option.
Uh, and you also don't know how Rodrigo will adapt to the English league, right? वो भी एक बड़ा factor हो गया है. So this is like a lower risk opportunity for the team.
See,
And
I am sure there will be options, of course, which we cannot think of the top of our head because we are not like proper scouts or director of football. But something like, we kept saying this in the Jan window as well, whereas PSG went over there and signed Kvaratskhelia, right? Like, what a player he turned out to be, right? So I'm sure there are options available. It's just that you need to dig harder. You need to set your bar high and kind of go and execute it rather than actually getting, like second rate players and then hoping that they will perform. We did that with Havertz as well, and now 2 years later, we are still again looking for a striker. So I think that kind of again I if you go for these players, we won't win the league, and then again a year, 2 years later, we'll be saying like we need a left like a left winger. like a proper starting left winger. So I think that becomes like a vicious circle, and I think the only way to break that is actually kind of get a player of that value, right, and not go by like the hype that is created in the English media for all these English players and all of those things. So yeah.
Anyone that can come off the top of our mind except for Rodrigo?
Gordon.
I don't see him as that level either.
Yeah, I don't think Anthony Gordon is that
Eze,
level either.
I would prefer Eze to Gordon right now, yeah.
Really, I think for Arsenal, Gordon is a better fit than Eze.
I don't know.
Like he creates more runners.
One very interesting player would have been Luis Diaz.
But
Premier
I
League
don't think Liverpool will
proven,
sell him to Arsenal.
yeah.
Liverpool ain't selling him. So, no. What's the next news?
The next news is Jonathan David to Juventus. Here we go. Verbal agreement reached overnight with the Canadian striker. I think good signing, has been very consistent so far, and I think he will add something to the Italian league. Uh, he was second fiddle at a Lille team for a long time, and now I think he'll get a chance to play uh, in the. I think Juventus will have qualified for Champions League, right? If I'm not wrong. So I think that'll be a good competition for him.
I think it's a like on a free transfer, it's a phenomenal signing for the club. Although I don't know where he fits because they have Kolomwani already. They are struggling to offload Blahovic. So, and I mean, Juventus are probably the richest club in Italy, but they are not really close to the richest clubs in the world. Uh, so, it's a very good signing from a sporting perspective. But how he fits, whether there are too many players in his position there, I do not know. Kolomoani can also play on the wings, so that opens up space. And then it seems like Vlahovic is done at Juventus, or Juventus are done with him. So they are going to try and offload him as well, or then if not, then just keep him as a backup. I
Like you guys
was
remember, like 2 years back, Vlahovic, everyone was like
yes,
hyping him up so much,
yes.
right? Like, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, like don't never should never go by these hype created in the
But
media, man.
Varun,
Like it's
imagine the same thing. There was a report wherein 3 years back, Jurgen Klopp had a conversation with Liverpool management, and the Liverpool management had actually recommended Alexander Isak based on data analysis. And Isak wasn't the biggest, let's say, goal scorer in Real Sociedad at the time. And he preferred Darwin Nunez. He convinced the club to sign Darwin Nunez. Darwin Nunez was supposed to be better than Haaland when he came to the Premier League based on his goal record in Portugal. And Haaland versus Nunez का जो पहला game था Charity Shield में, wherein Haaland missed a couple of easy chances and Nunez scored, and everyone was like, Liverpool have done it again, and how differently that turned out. Another
yeah.
interesting case in the same saga, 6 years back or maybe more, uh, Jurgen Klopp wanted Julian Brandt from Borussia Dortmund, and the club convinced them to sign Mo Salah. Now imagine Salah नहीं आता था Liverpool, and they would have signed Julian Brandt, then Liverpool का trajectory would have been completely different. So it's very
But
subjective.
but that's what I'm saying. You have to go by the proper data analytics rather than going by the hype of the player. Right? They went with Salah because of the data analytics. They should have gone for Isaac because of the data analytics and not because of the hype around the player. Right? And that's the mistake that they made. I feel the same way. You look at the data analysis of all of these players and you make a very conscious decision, not because he's an English player, the English media is creating a hype around it, kind of bidding up the price because he is kind of fits that profile of अरे अभी अभी English team में आया है, and then like he's just hit the peak of his form just because he's in that zone right now, right? That form can is very fleeting. But like, is that sustainable? Has he done that over 2 years, 3 years? No one knows, right? Like, so that is the key factor.
So
Whereas if
in
he
Essay's
signs
case, he has done it now, Arun. Like we just started the conversation about him with that the
10
fact
plus
that
Premier
he's
League
done
goals, three
for three
goals, 3 years
seasons
in
in
a
a
row.
row. So
sorry,
he
what?
has done that.
10 plus goals, but that's what I'm saying. We don't need 10 goals, right? We need much more. We 10 goals is not going to move the needle for us. 10 goals is not going to move the needle for us.
But
We
10
need
goals in
much
a
bigger
Crystal
output.
Palace side is different to like what his potential output can be in a side with much better players. No?
In fact, I feel it will be the other way around. Crystal Palace were playing on counter attacks and he was getting the opportunity. In a low block, he might not get that opportunity. If opposition teams start playing low block against Arsenal, how good he is against that, he might not get those opportunities. So it's a very different kind of analysis that needs to be done instead of just getting caught up in that moment. He's a decent player. Is he a player that will win you the title? I don't know, and that's why I feel that better to focus your energies on someone who will take you to that next step.
One very interesting story coming out from the Club World Cup. So, two parts of it. Madrid beat Juventus to qualify for the next round. The second game was between Borussia Dortmund and Monterrey. Now, there were two angles going in this game. If Monterrey win, Sergio Ramos gets a chance at revenge against Real Madrid. So you guys all know the famous story of how Ramos called Florentino Perez twice and he hung up the phone, and now his celebration includes that entire mnemonic. And the second one was if Dortmund win, it'll be the Bellingham derby because it'll be Job versus Jude. Unfortunately, Dortmund won and Bellingham got a second yellow, so he can't face his brother in the derby. So it's like one of those very unfortunate pieces which never materialize. But yeah, it would have been fun to see Job versus Jude in the heart of center midfield. Then let me just go through the news. Arsenal are discussing Noni Madueke in a deal separate from Eze, as reported last week.
ये लोग ने माधुरी के साइन किया मैं छोड़ दूंगा देखना ये साइन I can't stand it. All these rubbish players they sign and
तो
then
यूनाइटेड को फॉलो
make
करना
us
है इस
watch them play. क्या बोल रहा है?
Oh,
साल तो यूनाइटेड को फॉलो करना है इस साल
one very interesting development was there's this kid called Gonzalo Garcia, a 21-year-old kid coming out of the Madrid youth system. He has scored 3 goals and 1 assist in the Club World Cup. And he is supposed to be the one who is playing really well under Javi Alonso. So there's a good chance that he ends up staying this season, which was not expected. I think this can be a very good. I think from Raul and Morientes, uske baad there were a couple of other forwards who were good but never made it, right, Manan?
hmm Salgado no Soldado
No, no,
Roberto
no.
Soldado was there
Roberto Soldado,
uh,
yes.
um, who else
There was
who
one
else
more, if I'm not wrong.
there was मुझे अभी
Yeah.
नाम ध्यान नहीं आ रहा
So this guy could be the next guy coming in from that ilk. In some low-key news, Olivier Giroud has re-signed for Lille, back to French football, back to being a starter. Lacazette has signed for Neom, Saudi Arabia. There are a few clubs like AC Milan who are looking at players from the Belgian league. Honestly, I don't know much about these players. I'm not gonna comment too much about it. But there's a player by the name of Jashari from Club Bruges. So they are in talks with quite a heavy fee, I think 30 million plus. Oh, this was very interesting. So let me ask you questions to bring the story forward. There was an Aston Villa player who transferred to Saudi Arabia in January. Who was it?
Duran, right?
Yeah,
Duran,
John
yeah.
Duran. How much would have been the transfer fee?
I don't know.
I think 670 odd million.
70
70
million or
odd
something. Yeah.
million.
Yeah,
He transferred to Ronaldo's club, Al Nassr.
yeah. And now
Less
he's
than
going
6
on
months
loan.
on, he's going on loan to Fenerbahce.
I mean, that transfer didn't make sense then,
It didn't make sense.
and
Yeah.
this is a result of the the fact that it didn't make sense then.
Our good friends
But
from
Villa made
Arsenal
a
have
lot of money
signed
out of it, but they're still struggling. I don't understand. They sold
their women's
Duran for
team.
70 million and they're still struggling financially. कैसा हो सकता है ऐसा?
They signed
उन,
players as well, right?
हाँ,
PSR and उसमें काफी कुछ था.
and उनका रेवेन्यू इतना नहीं है
But
ना.
70
Like,
million they sold him for 7070. Like
Yeah,
they didn't
but they
even
also,
sign him for that. They signed him on the cheap, right?
yeah,
they
no,
would
but
have.
like they also got Rashford and Asensio on loans, which I mean, I'm sure
Nothing good
United
can
was.
happen if you sign Rashford.
Arey, but what I'm saying is,
I
even if
know.
United is subsidizing a part of his salary, that is still a high salary for an Aston Villa, right? To pay whatever balance amount. Asensio ka bhi similar hoga is what I'm assuming. They also purchased a few other players in the winter window. So Villa, even last year, if you remember, Villa did this kind of financial engineering a bit with Chelsea and a bit with Juventus, where they
Yeah,
sold a couple of
unfortunately.
players and they bought up a couple of players with
Kellyman,
both the teams.
Douglas
Yeah, and
Luiz.
Madsen.
Yeah.
So they've been doing this, and maybe it's a result of past indiscretions in the market. I don't know whether it's like something recent or something that's coming on carrying from the past.
Okay. So a couple of so Manan, your friend Ishan has asked me to communicate something to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you are a football player
Mm-hmm.
earning 250K fixed salary.
Mm-hmm.
You have 1 year left on your contract.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go and sacrifice your wages to 100K, or would you see off that 1 year of contract and then go and sign for a club with a very high bonus plus a signing fee?
The context is not complete. You have to tell me what's my age, how I've been doing for the past few years, where I've been playing, right? Like
Dude,
everything
just name the
matters.
player. Just name the player you are referring to, man.
So the player in question is Sancho. So I was telling him that
Yeah.
Sancho has now agreed to move to Juventus at a lower
Mm-hmm.
fee, lower wage fee.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So essentially, Juventus would be agreeable to pay 25 million for Sancho, and Sancho would agree to about 100K per week at Juventus.
Mm-hmm.
So his point was कि यार if I was Sancho, I would say कि यार मेरे को 250K तो और कहीं मिलने वाला है नहीं. Might
Uh-huh.
as well stay at United for 1 year and then 2.5 years का मेरे पास
Uh,
buffer है.
I think finally
But
he is
more than
considering his career over anything else.
no, but more than
He,
that, if he stays at United for that 1 year, I am sure United will find a loan option for him. He'll still go to Juventus on loan, but he will get that
Correct.
250,000. So if I don't know, man, like he could have stayed. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why I think the deal is still in the works, but
Yeah,
this is something to follow.
yeah. How
And
much are Juventus willing to pay for him?
25 million euros.
What?
Hmm.
That's a lot.
Last year of contract के लिए I agree.
I know last year of contract and a player who has been totally out of form. So
Not out of form as such, but yeah, not lived up to the hype.
I mean, Chelsea were also okay to pay that money, right? उनका सिर्फ wage
Yeah,
पे agreement नहीं हुआ. So it's
correct.
not like just one club is doing it. And
I
I'm
With
heard
Chelsea,
surprised
it would have
Sancho
been
agreed to
plenty.
reduce his wages for Juventus, but not for Chelsea.
I don't think it's a surprise because like Chelsea ke saath when he realized, as in I think after Chelsea he would have expected to get offers. When he did not get offers, then it would either be Saudi Arabia or Juventus. So now he's like, यार अब जहाँ पे मिल रहा है ले लो. Let's not wait too much
Hmm.
How much
because
did
I don't
United sign him for?
80.
Close to 80 million
Euros.
I think
pounds, I
pounds.
think.
And they're selling him for 25 million euros. Key pounds.
I
Euros.
think pounds,
But that
only.
would
Euros.
still that would still represent a FFP profit.
Huh.
Yeah, it would. That's what I'm asking. Yeah. Fair enough.
Official confirmed Kepa signs as new Arsenal player in 5 million deal from Chelsea.
Yeah. Yearly transfer from Chelsea to Arsenal. अगले साल के लिए कौन चाहिए वरुण बोल के रख.
कोई नहीं चाहिए भाई. I would next year I would want their current manager as the assistant manager to Arteta.
Wow.
It could be the opposite.
But yeah, I'm only saying that because the assistant manager left, man, recently. So
Acha.
yeah,
I know.
there's a vacancy.
Yeah.
You should be
But
the
like
assistant manager.
on a serious note, if Arteta doesn't win anything this season, there's a very good chance that he ends up somewhere else. Oh, there's a very interesting news from Monaco. So they have signed Ansu
Paul
Fati
Pogba.
and Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
And there was a very interesting story about Pogba as well, right? So Pogba went to United or returned to
Mhm.
United, left United, joined Juve, got injured in his first year, got the drugs doping ban, missed the World Cup, has served his 18-month suspension, and he still ends up playing Champions League football before United.
नहीं, but we played last year, na?
But
United played
this
Champions
was
League last year. This is
this
not.
was what was there.
Yeah. This is not
अरे
factually correct.
how can United play Champions League last year?
Not मतलब
United-
last year नहीं, उसके पहले वाले year.
अच्छा
हाँ.
अभी तो last year नहीं खेला ना लेकिन.
हाँ मतलब for me the season is still like
fair enough.
that way वैसे. तो we played ना, उसमें एंड्रे ओनाना ने कितने सारे एरर्स किए थे जिसकी वजह से हम हार गए.
And this is a good one. There's this player called Nick Woltemade, who is a German player, 6'6" German, but plays really well with his feet. He is joining or he is wanting to join Bayern, and like usually when a player wants Bayern, Bayern wants a player, it happens. So this can be an interesting one. He can be a great replacement for Muller going forward.
What's happening on the Mbembo deal?
I
65
think
million.
United are preparing another offer, restructuring the deal and increasing the bid to 65 million, which I think should be enough unless like there is some issue with the amount of upfront payment and possibly the ease of the bonuses that kick in. But I think 65 million ka valuation should be good enough. I feel that United paying 62.5 for Cunha set a benchmark in the minds of Bournemouth that this guy has performed better than Cunha in the last season, so we should get more value.
Yes, you are right.
But that happens, right? That like any
That
club would
happens.
want
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Of course. That happens. It's natural. I'm to still in shock that we are able to spend like 130 million on two players without having any sales. So this was not something that I would have like I was made to believe by the media before the transfer window started. Right?
And you guys are going for Gyökeres as well.
Yeah,
I think वो तो Arsenal में ही आएगा eventually.
Let's
it
see.
can happen.
Yeah.
यही दो
What's-
options है अभी उसके पास.
What's the update on Onana? Is he going to be your main keeper next year as well?
Again, it's like yes, no चल रहा है. So we don't know.
Okay.
Martinez apparently wants to come to United.
45 million यार कौन play
it's-
करेगा उतना?
नहीं, I think like to be honest, if I see like as a goalkeeper profile, he's very similar to Schmeichel. Like he's big, burly, antics, great at shot saving. And in terms of a purchase profile, of course the value is high, but he's similar to Van der Sar. Like Van der Sar was also like he had journeyed a bit and then spent a couple of years, in 3 years I think, in Fulham in the Premier League, and then moved to United and was of great service for 7 years, right? I think Martinez can be that person. He has leadership quality. He has a personality. These things are required in the
I
dressing
don't
room
think
as
he
well.
has leadership quality, but he definitely has personality, and he
Yeah,
has a knack of playing and performing in big games.
yeah. No,
So
leadership
I
that is
quality,
actually
like
for
agree
sure.
that,
Like,
he
yeah.
has command, right? Like he can command the defense.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when
he
he
has
says
command and
yeah, when he talks, you
yeah,
have to listen to him, right? So
he has
that way,
personality.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
he's a little fierce, and he
yeah,
has personality.
yeah,
And I feel that big game kind of a
temperament.
presence is
Yeah,
there, like with him.
yeah.
Like he
They're
performs on
like,
the big stage. He
hmm,
loves to be on the big stage. I
yes,
feel he thrives on that.
yeah.
So
And that's why
yeah,
I think he plays better for Argentina. I don't think he plays his best football in club. But Argentina के लिए he's massive.
no, I feel that even that one season at Arsenal that he played, he was really good.
He was really good. I
And
was surprised when they let him go.
yeah, yeah, and of course, I think Villa also the couple of seasons that he was really good at Villa as well. Of course, like that last season, ka thoda inconsistency was there, but I think overall he's done well. I feel uh, so. But yeah, for Argentina, of course, like crazy, like that final
Save,
though.
save them,
Yeah,
won them
yeah,
the World Cup literally.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So how old is he? He's not too old
33,
also, right? Huh?
33, 33.
33. But
No,
okay, fine.
31.
He
Sorry,
has
31. I think. Wait, wait,
Check
wait.
करने
Let
दे.
me check. Let me check. 32. Midway.
oh, fine. So he has like 3-4 years in him. Like
Yeah.
I think
so
goalkeepers can go until 40. Yeah. मतलब he's never been a very good ball playing goalkeeper anyway. तो वो वाला component तो है नहीं. Like I think he can easily go until 40. Maybe like 4-5 seasons.
हाँ.
reflexes go a little wonky after I
Maybe
think
4-5 seasons
after
at United and then like somewhere else, like
uh,
Saudi or the States or something.
fine.
I would take Bono, yaar, the keeper at Al Hilal.
Dude, Bono is 39.
Really? Oh my God.
एक
He's
बार check
still
कर लेता हूँ.
so good.
Let
Yeah.
me just check
He's so
because maybe Ustari is 39. Let me just reconfirm.
good. 34.
34. तो वो अच्छा है यार फिर तो.
हाँ.
Ustari का check कर. Ustari में भी 39.
और Ustari तो Inter Miami वाला keeper ना. He's
हाँ.
also Argentinian,
34.
I think.
Yeah.
38. Ustari.
38. हाँ.
I am so surprised that no one is going for Ramsdale. Like Chelsea need a keeper, United need a keeper. No one is going for Ramsdale. He's such a good keeper. Like the
The
season that
name.
he had at Arsenal before Raya
The
came in.
name. Haru, the name as well as the pedigree. 3 relegations. It just stays with you, right?
Huh, but I mean, Arsenal gonna get it relegated. No, I mean,
By if he joins
okay.
United, there's a real possibility. You don't want
हो
to
सकता
risk
है.
it.
Fine. Good point. Good point.
So now some kids ka news. Brentford have sealed a deal to bring in 5 or 20-year-old talent Anthony Milambo. 17 million plus 4 million add-ons. I'm not tracked him, so not sure much about him. Atlanta have signed 17-year-old wingback Honest Anna Hall for 20 million plus add-ons, which is amazing. And Tammy Abraham has moved to Besiktas on a 4-year deal for 20 million euros.
It's awesome how you classify him as kid.
Chelsea kid. But the Turkish clubs seem to spend a lot of money here, which I'm surprised उनके पास कहाँ से इतना leverage आता है.
All
उनके पास
bargaining
corporate
Besiktas,
deals ना.
sponsorship बहुत होती है
अच्छा.
और like corporate backing बहुत होती है और उनके fans crazy है यार.
That we saw.
Yeah, yeah. And
We
they
were
have
in
to pay
Istanbul for
like
a day. That's
and they have to
crazy.
pay less wages, I'm assuming, than everywhere else.
Not really, not really.
No?
Yeah, their wages are quite high. Like you see, Osimhen going to
Hmm.
Galatasaray, right, instead of Chelsea and PSG. So you can imagine the wages they would have paid him.
And Istanbul is a wonderful city to live in.
Fair enough. Another kid moving, Jesus Rodriguez has gone from Real Betis to Como. Como is looking to reinforce their 10th place finish under Fabregas next season. And Aston Villa confirmed they are not activating 40 million buy option for Rashford.
Better
Uh,
sense prevails. How many years does
I
Rashford has on his contract?
I think three more, if I'm not
oh my
mistaken.
God.
Whoa!
Yeah, yeah. We handed him
Don't
a
worry,
5 year
don't worry.
contract.
Last year of his contract, he will play for you guys. Don't worry. 20 goals he'll score in that year.
इस बार हम बस उसको छोड़ देंगे उसके बाद. We'll not renew his contract. We'll get loan fee whatever we can for the next 2 years, then get 20 goals out of him in the third year, and then let him go.
Another very interesting this is so because Madrid have signed Mastantuono, so Nico Paz is heading back to Como, and they actually have a very favorable negotiation done with Como. So Madrid can buy him back for 8 million in 25, 9 million in 26, 10 million in 27. So it's like a crazy deal which they have done with Como.
Yeah.
And on the Liverpool front, Konate is not willing to sign a new deal yet, which is a concern for them. And that is why they are linked to Mark Gahey. So Mark Gahey could realistically end up at Liverpool this season.
Mhm.
And Jadel Konsa has completed his move to Leverkusen for 30 million plus 5 million,
Crazy,
which
crazy,
is
crazy.
absolutely insane value for a
Yeah,
player who's played 3 Premier League games last season.
crazy. How they are able to get these figures, I have no idea.
Seriously. This is brilliant business, right?
Yeah,
In fact, अभी तो ऐसे देखेगा, so Words actually cost them 70 million plus Kwanzaa
yeah,
in the fixed fees.
yeah, yeah.
And other way of looking at it is 30 million of Kwanzaa is pure profit because he is an
Hmm.
academy player. And they have given 7 year or 8 year contract to Words, जिसका
Hmm.
cost will be 15 million a year.
Hmm.
So essentially, they have made a profit in this transaction as per FFP. And Thomas Partey leaves
Is he
Arsenal.
worth 30 million? Is he worth like kya matlab? I don't know what's happening here. Like, and they have secured a buyback clause also on it.
60 million active after 2 years.
Is he that good? Are we missing something? Like,
We've
I don't know,
not
man.
followed him that much, right? So it's like when he burst onto the scene 2 years back, he was supposed to be very highly regarded. But if you don't play regular football, then I'm surprised to see this kind of figures
Hmm.
actually shaping up. But Liverpool's back-end team is very good at finding these opportunities, right? Like it's amazing. Like again, the other way of looking at it is they have signed Frimpong on literally a 5 million surplus compared to Konsa, which is again crazy if you look at it.
Yeah,
They've sold their fourth choice defender for their front choice right back. Thomas Partey
Crazy.
left Arsenal officially, and Norgard has joined them from the Gunners. Varun, you want to share any views on Partey leaving?
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, right, in our chat, in our football chat, I think it's a mistake from our point of view to let Partey go. I think that's a mistake that the management has made. I feel like if even if he wants 200,000 for 2 years, that's 10 million per year. I mean, you are signing Norgard for like 10, 11 million. That's 5.5. And even if you're paying him like uh, 60,
60K.
70,000, yeah, 60,000, that's 3 million. That's still 8.5, 9 million, right? So plus the add-ons, whatever thing. I'm not counting the add-ons, but still it's 10 million versus 8.5 million. For that 1 million, 1.5 million, you are getting rid of a player who was playing that well, who was a starter yesterday, like last season. We literally missed him in the PSG Champions League semi-final game when he was not starting, and
Second
that
leg.
that was and that was a massive hole to fill, right? So he was that important to the team, and you're letting that player go for your penny pinching ways and kind of signing a new player who doesn't know the system. So I feel that I think वो कुत्ते की पूंछ कभी सीधी नहीं होती ना, वैसी बात हो रही है अभी. Like the penny pinching ways never go out, man. Like, so yeah, I think it's going to come and bite us back. I really think it might, because see, the thing is, again, also a very important thing is that, yeah, Zubamendi is going to be the starter. But so many times we have seen that when a new player comes in, in a league like EPL, he needs 2 months, 3 months to settle in, right? What is your transition for that? That Partey would have been an ideal transition for the first 2 months. Keep Partey as a starting player, play Zubamendi once in a while, bed him in, give him time, don't put excessive pressure on him. I think they have just kind of messed up this part, I feel. So let's see. I hope also, like, what if Zubamendi gets injured? Then you have two new players in the same position. It's kind of I don't know. It kind of doesn't seem like an ideal thing to do, according to me.
Cool. Eh? There are some other smaller news. I think we can let those go. Uh, any other talking points from the transfer window if we look at clubs individually? Any action on
Mm.
Garnacho, Manan? I don't see any news on
No, no, no,
Garnacho over the last
nothing,
2 weeks.
nothing, nothing, nothing. No action on Garnacho right now. Nothing on
United have three.
Garnacho. Anthony has gotten cold as well again.
United
Uh,
have four wingers that they want
uh,
to sell,
yeah.
and
In fact, like I mean, we have more players also. Tyrell Malacia, we are trying to offload. We are not able to do
Malasia
any.
apparently is going to PSV on a free now. They're
Yeah,
going to cancel the
maybe.
contract
Yeah.
and yeah.
So, so it's been a difficult summer for United in terms of sales and exits. Uh, we need to get those right. We need to have a clear out. Our squad is bloated in a way, and not maybe not bloated, but imbalanced and inappropriate for the tactics that we want to employ.
I think the major issue, Manan, is the wages here. Like Rashford, Sancho,
Yeah,
all of them are on such heavy wages. No club would want to take them
of
on.
course, for whatever reason, but this is a challenge, and it's not going to help the manager.
what's the
Neom could be a
update on
great option,
the
by the way. Neom is just signing
Yeah,
players left, right, center. That could be
well,
a great option for these guys.
players should want to go there also. So let's see.
Yeah.
what's the update on the two strikers, Xerxes and Hoyland?
Zirkzee
I
is
think
staying for
Xerxes
sure.
is going to stay. Hoyland, they are ready to sell if they get a good offer. And there is recent news that if they manage to sell Hoyland, then we are going to aim for Ollie Watkins to replace him.
Hmm.
Underwhelming, yeah. Again, you're signing a
Yeah.
29, 30-year-old. Same thing, same
But he's going to
issue.
be a backup striker or like a second choice striker, right?
Who's the first
Uh,
choice?
because we are going for Gyökeres or like any other option, irrespective of Hoyland staying or not staying.
Acha,
So
got it.
Watkins comes in only if Hoyland goes out.
Got it. Cool.
Cool.
I was
All
actually
right.
watching a video today. Uh, where the podcaster was trying to explain if Xerxes, Cunha, and Mbumo fit in together as a front three. And I don't think they do, because Xerxes and Cunha, they try and operate in similar spaces. Like Xerxes drops deep also, Cunha drops deep also. Both of them try to like. Uh, One thing is great that all three of them like to have short passing games with, like, playing off other players, so that works well. But Cunha and Xerxes especially also like to run with the ball, coming in, driving from the same space. So I don't think that's going to work out very well. So maybe Xerxes is going to be a backup to Cunha, and therefore we'll need two striker options.
Xerxes drives into space.
Yeah, he does. He's a very good ball carrier. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, cool hai, cool hai. Um, Great. Thanks for watching, everyone. This is a wrap on the latest transfer news. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, and do let us know what you think of the latest transfer news. Anything else you want us to kind of dive deep into? Like waiting to hear from you. And see you next time.
We'll have to exit, right?
Yeah.